Welcome to another episode of Outside the Algorithm, where you'll discover a universe of independent voices. I am your host, Samuel Patrick. Today is Thursday, May 26, 2022, and we are broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. I appreciate y'all joining us tonight. I'm checking in from Los Angeles, California, and tonight's guests are from all over the map. So if y'all want to let us know where you're tuned in from, we would love to find out. It's always a joy seeing where folks are checking in from. So let us know where you're at in the comments. We'll be reading those all night, sharing questions, comments. So do not hesitate to jump into the convo. We can even bring you on screen if you're feeling extra passionate. But yeah, let's start with where you're from, though. Introduce yourselves. That's what tonight is all about, making new connections, new friends, finding some new art, and just sharing some ideas with the world. Speaking of which, we'll be joined tonight by Upper Reality, Defcee, Flip Jackson, and Malik Elijah. A few of these folks I know already, and a few of us will be meeting for the first time. We'll be bringing them up one at a time, and they'll have the option to stick around and continue with the convo with each other. So that being said, a couple things before we bring up our first guest tonight. We just launched. Well, first of all, please share the live. Share the live, share the live, share the live. Whether you're tuned in live or you're watching the replay, I know you know one or two other music fans out there. We'll be choosing, we just launched our first annual art grant. We're giving $1,000 to an artist of our members' choosing. We had almost 200 artists nominated in the last week, close to 500 votes between the top 10. It was really healthy to see play out. It went from people slowly discovering it to getting some shares like, hey, nominate me, to seeing floods. I was tallying it all by hand on the back of envelopes. So shout out to my incoming carpal tunnel, but it was a hell of a race. Shout out to the top 10 and shout out to everyone who was nominated in between. It takes a lot to get people to type your name into the little @ box there. So shout out to y'all. Any support is significant. Polls are open right now to decide the winner. They'll get $1,000 or possibly more. Donations are still open. And not only do our members make this possible, but they also enjoy full access to full episodes of Outside the Algorithm, exclusive content, a subscription to our monthly newsletter, co-production credits, and a say in our journey. And right now is literally the best time to join. You'll get a 60-day free trial, and you can make an immediate impact on an artist's life with your art grant vote. So if you have any questions about anything about that at all, lfod.life is where you find all of that information. Now that we've gotten the officiating out of the way, we're going to kick things off with our first guest. We do things first come, first served around here. This might not have been who you predicted to be the first guy to show up, but we got with us tonight the homie, Flip Jackson. What's happening, my guy?
Yeah.
What's good, man? How are you?
Man, I'm lovely, yo. I'm just as shocked as you was to be on time, or if not early.
Very early, man. I had to get on point to make this happen. So what's good, bro? You're one of the guys I knew before. I invited you on here for a few minutes, for a few reasons. First of all, you are like the number one, you're top 5. I don't want to, I don't want to slight anybody else, but one of the biggest supporters of the Boston music scene in existence.
That's
like to
crazy.
The point that you're riding around. I see it on the snaps. You're out there on your bicycle with the Bluetooth speaker, stopping and putting people on game when they say, yo, who is that? What did you just play? What is going on here? So I wanted to shout you out, man, give you some flowers for that, because it's so genuine. And it has been. I've known you for probably 7-8 years now, and it's been that way.
A decade. Yeah.
It's been that way from the start, man. So I really want folks to know that about you. So huge shout out to you, Flip.
Yeah, I appreciate you, bro, for real. Like I said, we've known each other for almost 10 years now. So, I appreciate it, man. It means a lot knowing that, you know what I mean? You've seen me from the beginning pretty much. So for sure, man.
It's always just been like the highest vibes in the room. No pun intended, even. But like whenever we've gone through studios together, folks know you from different things, and the response is always like, "Yo, fucking love Flip Jackson. Like, bring that guy back." You know.
That's funny. That's funny. Shout out to all them, yo, for real, for real. I appreciate everybody that be showing love and support, yo. It's always appreciated.
And it even extends here, man. A bigger salute. We launched this membership, which you just heard me talking about, breaking it down, LFOD.life. We've got mad new members this week. I'm excited. They're rocking with us. We launched it, and you were the first person to sign up, like within moments, I think. Like, so shout out you. You are the first official, LFOD Life like member, Flip Jackson.
I was gonna say, I think we was running that marathon before, so it only made sense, right?
Exactly, man. So I just wanted to with all this, like the groundwork laid there, like what's your motivation behind like riding so far hard for like strangers, sometimes people you don't like, people you do like, but just crazy, like,
man. The genesis of it all starts with, in my eyes, my perspective is I haven't had the most support, you know what I mean? And just bringing it back to the basics of my childhood, I was raised on treat people the way you want to be treated. So I looked at it as from the beginning, if you don't show love, you're not gonna get no love. So the return on love is different, you know what I mean? It can be different. It may not be what you expected, but if you don't give no love, you ain't gonna get it. So I always was in my head like, yo, if I just show people love, like genuinely, not no bullshit love either, like, oh, I'm just showing you love because you're doing something or whatever. Like I've always wanted someone to tap in with me, see what I'm doing. So I'm like, yo, I'm gonna tap in with someone and see what the fuck they doing and really understand where they're coming from, because I want someone to understand where I'm coming from. And that's how I got into music as a child. I had an emotional childhood, so you know what I mean? So I fell in love with music, and especially hip hop, you know what I mean, from early age. My first record was Moment of Truth by Gangstar. That shit changed my life. Like, for some reason that day I knew exactly what the fuck he was talking about, and I had no idea about life, you know what I'm saying? But it just hit me. And then from there I started realizing these artists, they was telling me their life story, their feelings, their emotions, everything they'd been through, everything they were striving for, their dreams, aspirations, everything, you know what I mean? And that shit touched me in a way that it centered me into a place that I was able to strive for something. So that's why the support for me is just like, yo, hip hop is giving me life, you know what I mean? It saved my life so many times. So I want to share that love and that energy that I get from it back, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got to give it away, you know what I'm saying? Because it's too much.
Yeah, that's real, man. That's real. And like what kind of goes with that is, so you have this kind of radical transparency approach to social media, which I think might throw some folks off, it's fair to say. Like, you'll be out there, you post like every single L, like with the most incredible detail, alongside with like just riding super hard for artists nonstop. It's like
it's like a paradigm.
Yeah, it can be like manic, but it can also be like, yo, I'm like in traffic right now. Like, do you want to explain this approach and like why you've chosen it and like how it's working out for you?
Yeah, it may not even be working out, but it doesn't matter. It does, and as you know, for me personally, personal talks, here and there, it doesn't even matter. For me personally, it's I wholeheartedly believe in the marathon. Rest in peace, Nip Hussle the Great. You know what I'm saying? This shit is not a sprint. You know what I mean? So to me, having been blessed with at least a decade of fucking having music at a professional level. Not saying I've been doing it well, not saying I've been doing it right, but I've been in it. You know what I mean?
You've been doing it all right, my guy.
You know what I'm saying? But I've been in the mix. So I feel like with every W I got to experience and earn and all that, with social media, because that's the other thing. I came into it before social media. So I remember when there was an era before all this shit that you had to be outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I got to experience the transition, and therefore, damn, what was the point of all this again? I bet I'm losing the track. There was a reason.
The L's, like your strategy, your transparency. It's so transparent.
The transparency arose from basically my whole journey of music has not been easy, honestly. So at first I was doing what everyone else does, and just showing the W's. And I think people get a perception of you that may not be actually reality. You know what I'm saying? So after like 8 years of being in this business and realizing that some people, you can know someone for 8 years and they don't even know who you are as a person, what you're going through, but they see all the W's on social media. They think, oh, his life is lit. And then the envy, the jealousy, the fucking all that extra bullshit that comes along with it. When they see you on MTV, they see you on BT, and you don't even have a TV. You never seen yourself on the TV, but everyone sees you. They think you're getting paid. They think you rich. They think you live in life. They see you in the strip club, like, but it's work. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. So I think people got it confused in my eyes of what they think the grind was. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't know that I was sleeping out of a car on the highway. Like, you know what I mean? They didn't know that I was fucking homeless for fucking the whole time I was going ham, like where I was having W's. You know what I mean? Like on social media land. Whereas in real life, I'm living on people's couches, sleeping in different homes and fucking projects and fucking people's living rooms, like in people's houses where they ODing and shit in the bathroom that we all in. Like, there was a lot of interesting things that was happening, and I wasn't showing it because I was trying to put on the perspective of, oh, it's professionalism. Like, you got to show like everything's all right, and nothing was all right. You know what I mean? So that's why I started saying, you know what, fuck it. Like, yo, I'm gonna show y'all who really is behind this fucking success. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna wait until I make it, or we're not gonna wait until I die, God forbid, that Flip was really trying to put in work to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just started saying I'm gonna embrace every L, like, because we all human and we all make mistakes and we all take L's too. Like, it's just we have losses every day. Like, you could walk outside and just some random shit happens. So I just started embracing it. Like, yo, you can't run from the L's. You just gotta embrace them, and it's all part of the journey. You know what I mean? Like, it's especially as they say, if it was easy, everybody would be doing this. So I want to show people, like, yo, I really work hard for what I get, what I've earned and what I've achieved. You know what I'm saying? And like, when I was a child, I told myself I was gonna do this shit, and I've knocked almost every goal off. So you know what I mean? It's just taking a long time and a lot of L's of doing that. But you know what I mean? As long as you want it, you can get it. So that's what I try to show with the L's. You know what I mean? The transparency.
Facts. Well, we appreciate it, man, or I do. But yeah, I know every now and then I've had to call you, like, "Are you good?" Like,
I was gonna say, I know, you make people think that I'm a lunatic, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, that's one reason I wanted to have you up here, to like put a face to the words. But speaking of that, man, you do a lot. Like, so you are a producer. You refurbish and like remix sneakers. I think you might be a barber. You rap.
Yeah.
Like, so what are the hustles and how can people tap in, and like, what do you got going on? Because you do make some, like, you've had some big records, like you've got some placements, the beats are on point, like it's all quality what you're doing. So let folks know.
I appreciate you, bro.
The kicks
I
are
was gonna
crazy
say, so,
too.
I was gonna say, yeah, we'll start with the music. Obviously, I'm a music producer first. I started out rapping as a child. Obviously, the transition, like almost every producer I know, was, I started rapping. I needed beats. I was on SoundClick. Couldn't afford no damn beats at like 12 years old. So I was like, oh, I can make some beats. Then I started, downloading every program in the world. Then it turned into, y'all want a sample. So I had to get an MPC. Got the MPC. Realized, all the software is way more quicker and updated and shit. And you could do more. So I was doing the same shit, production. Then it was like, I don't know how to record myself and make myself good. So I got to fucking learn how to engineer and mix and shit. So I started doing all that shit. So by like high school, I was doing full mixtapes where I was producing the beats, rapping, fucking recording it, doing the artwork and shit. So I was trying to like build my own, in my head, like a record label since I was a kid. Like, that was the goal, like to be like a Dame Dash or fucking, you know what I mean, Quincy Jones type shit, like something like that. Dr. Dre. So with production, I basically chose that as like the focus point at one point. I was just like, at like 19, I was like, rapping is cool, but it's not my strong suit. You know what I mean? Let me stick on beats. So from there, in the last 10 years, I've worked with rest in peace Fred the Godson, Mano, Ransom, Chris Rivers, Whispers from D Block, Snipe Life from D Block, Dice Payne from D Block, Terminology, On Cue, Joyner Lucas, and then I was most notable for Ricky Batts and the Gotham City Boys in the Bronx from like 2015 to 2020, basically. I was the in-house music producer and DJ for them, and we went on tour for Ricky Batts' Freedom Tour 2016. I was the DJ and hype man. I did a bunch of grind mode ciphers. I produced 12 ciphers in 2014 through 2016, and then since then I've been doing just a bunch of projects on my own and stuff. You know what I mean? So with the pandemic, I got back into my rapping bag. I had a lot to say. I use the rapping now as therapy. I could care less about actually going somewhere. If it does it, that's great. But for me, it's more or less like, because I've had the success with the beats, so it's like the rapping is for me to just therapy, for therapy, to just get my thoughts and feelings out there. And then, which I've had you on all my projects so far, so I appreciate it, bro. You know what I mean? And so yeah, Flip Jackson, Follow the Leader LP, out now on Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and coming to all streaming platforms, as well as Flip Jackson Growing Pains EP. And I will be dropping the tax season EP as well, the trilogy of the series. That'll be dropping within the next couple months to finish off the story of what I've been going through for this whole pandemic, basically. So, yeah, and then, shout out my man Freddie Laps, Level Up, single out now off a Grave EP, and Freddie Laps, Paisano Provisions, both of us being Italian. I'm Sicilian, he's Italian. We're going to do a project basically based on our heritage and whatnot, do a whole 10-track EP. It's almost done. I finished mixing that, produced the whole shit, recorded it, and shout out my guy Philly G, Plates EP out right now, Truly Yours, Bacon, Egg, and Cheese EP, and Goody, Guti, Get Used to It, with the single and the New York anthem, Yurt, produced by yours truly. Yeah, I mean, a whole bunch of shit in the works.
We're in the promo part of the segment for sure right now.
Yeah. I figured I'd throw it all out there, like, because I always forget this shit, so I'm gonna just run it down. So, and so yeah, so if anybody's looking to get production, you can tap in with me personally, or you can just YouTube or beatstars.com/It's Flip Jackson, and on any social media at It's Flip Jackson, ITS Flip Jackson. It'll pop up on everything pretty much, and all the content and catalog is there for everybody to see. I do sneakers. I'm a sneakerhead to the core since a child, since fucking my mother didn't get me the Space Jam 9s when they came out in 2002. So ever since that day, I've been addicted. Like, it's just been like I've been fiending that fucking high. So I got into sneaker restorations in the last couple of years and shit. It's been a hell of a journey, interesting learning experience. I've learned a lot, taken a lot of L's, spent a lot of money investing in equipment and shit to see what works, what doesn't, and it's just been fun. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm learning a lot and shit. So
they're on point, man. They're on point. Like, can people find that on? Where can people find that? Because like, I'm not nearly enough of a sneakerhead to even talk about it. They're already saying people already have restorations coming. I've seen you send people stuff. I've seen the results, like the before and after is crazy. I saw you remix like some denim joints like last week or something. Yeah. You want to talk about those, and then we'll bring up our next guest here. But like,
yeah, for sure. Most definitely at Future the Retro Restorations at FOTR Kicks. Basically, it's a play on words. Shout out to Common from the Good Music Freestyle on the BT Cypher years ago. He said that in the fucking his verse. He said Future the Retro something. I always, since that day, was like that. That was originally my clothing line. Then I switched it into the sneaker, because I was like, you're taking retro sneakers and bringing it back to the future. So I was like, you know what I mean? So that's the purpose of the idea of it. Restorations, make everything old look new. And the denim joints, I've had a couple pairs of them too. They were mad cheap. They didn't sell well at retail. They went on sale and went to the outlets immediately, and they don't do well on resale. So I've been seeing people do customs on those, and I'm a huge break the rules type person. So like, if I can customize and make something one-on-one, I want to do it all day. So like, I seen a couple people do it, and I laughed because they were like, not like, they were like, eh. And I seen it, was like, oh, that's my style. Let's go. So I ended up copping a pair. I'm gonna cop a bunch more, and I'm gonna do like a pink pair, like for Killer Cam, Dipset shit. Like this, I got a whole bunch of ideas. But yeah, so I basically bleached the denim and shit, distressed the shit out of it. Just made it look me, you know what I mean? Made it feel like me. So when I have them joints on, I feel like fucking like nobody got these on, you know what I mean? Like,
word. That's fire, man. Yo, Flip, thanks for coming on and like telling us about your story and sharing things. And I know we could talk for hours. Like, we maybe need to at some point. You're always welcome on here, and that goes to everybody who's come through. You're always welcome to come back whenever. Like, look at this as a big Rolodex. That's a throwback, but like a big list of, if I have your contact and they have my contact, like we can connect, and I'm definitely happy to bridge any gaps possible. If y'all are tuned in and you're enjoying this, please share the live. You can drop your comments in the comments, and we can bring you on. If you got a favorite pair of kicks, if you want to hear more about that, if you want to give topics to, the next guest or anything, you're welcome to drop those in there. And one more time, we do have this art grant taking place. Polls are open until June 1st. If you want to learn more about that, lfod.life. It's wicked easy. You go there. It's right at the top. You can click the explore button and see what else we got going on, like stamped outside the algorithm, et cetera, et cetera. Coming up next to the stage. Flip, do you want to hang out for a bit, or are you going to dip? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I can kick it, bro. I'm here.
All right, coming up to the stage. A warm round of applause, please, for Upper Reality. Hey, welcome.
Hi, hello.
You're going up top, though. I'll give you the good one.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Glad to be on the show.
So we know each other a little bit, a little bit more. I met you out here in Los Angeles, California.
That's correct.
I saw you perform at the Love Song Bar for Scenario, Daddy Kev's event. And like we just sort of hit the ground running. You're saying is I make beats and sing on them so people can't steal them.
Yes, that's correct. I put a lot of work in my beats, and just the thought of somebody running off with them in the sunset at the time that I was beginning my whole shebang, I was like, no, I couldn't do it. So I started singing, and then I started just kind of getting the bug for singing, and it just stuck. And so, yeah, I always do the two together.
Shout out Donatelli in the building, cheering you on
Donatelli.
Here.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
So you had some beats come up missing, and you said, let me improve upon the tag a little bit.
Actually, I kind of intuitively felt it in advance. I was like, because I know what I do. If I go on YouTube and I see it, I'm gonna put it on, the beat downloader, or what I'm saying, YouTube to MP3. And, do my thing all over that. So I'm like, so what's keeping anybody else doing that with mine? Nothing. So I had initially sort of like steered away from doing the sort of solely producer thing. I'm open more to it now at this age, especially now that I feel more established, and kind of like we kind of live in a world where like stuff just gets stolen. People find a way to steal stuff. Don't be afraid of that, But I think the original impetus, like the original sauce of why I even started doing Upper Reality. Let's go, Lee's in here. Let's do it. Anyways, the whole initial reason why I started doing it was, it still exists now. It drives it, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a theory I saw that like copyright law and IP law and stuff is actually like incredibly stifling to creation. And this idea of even trying to protect things isn't even how it's meant to work.
Yeah.
It's more of like a wavelength you're supposed to tap into, and things do get. And if we follow it, which the internet, we're in a situation where it can be followed to its extreme with like DMCA stuff and like being able to catch snippets. If you actually follow it out, we'll end up in a space where you're literally not able to create anything.
Yeah. There's like two things I would have to say to that. One, a few years ago, there was like this movement. It was very like brief. It came and went. I don't think people caught on to it, but I thought it was so dope. It was called copy lefting. And the idea was when you copy left something, the next person that uses it can do it for free upon the condition that they have to copy left it as well. So you have to pay it forward. Otherwise, then you get sued and all that crap. But yeah, the idea of copy lefting came with like sort of collaboration being required as a condition of like using the thing. It was really dope at that time.
I like that. And I'm happy that we're boosting this signal again.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of feel like, hey, bring copylifting back. And I kind of already forgot the second thing I was going to say. So that's the thing.
That's a pretty good thing. Thank you for introducing that to the universe here.
Absolutely.
So speaking of which, so I saw you live, and it was a vibe for sure. And then I went and looked you up. You've got your last album, Body High, is like a whole movie.
Yes. I just really just wanted to do it. I was sitting in a cafe like, you know what I should do? I should do a short film. That sounds like it would be dope. And kind of during that time I was thinking about it. I was just like thinking about it, and like a week later Solange dropped like her thing that she was doing. And I was like, oh, bet that's my cue. That's a sign, So I went and kind of had linked up with a videographer friend of mine whom I should link you up with. I didn't think about that. And we spent Yeah, absolutely. We spent several months. Working on that film over the pandemic and really just getting it cohesive to get the story of the project and the sort of what's the word? Um, to get the messages across that I wanted to get across with the songs and really kind of create the experience for people to feel immersed in, which I think really kind of gives it a life, you know.
Yeah, it was like I was looking you up and I was like, oh, I have to listen to the entire album and watch a movie to like
So
to enter like this artist's world. Like that was the first ask, you know. So I had to
yeah,
wait a moment. I was like, I gotta wait till I have time for this, and then I jumped in.
and I'm glad
Speak,
you did. It's really
Me
dope.
too, to be honest. And speaking of the messages, what is the approach or intention behind the music you're making these days? What do you want to get across to folks?
These days, I've had a lot of like source connection vibes happening. Just like I've been doing a lot of like inner healing work to really kind of get my me centered and present in the world. I think for a long time I felt very afraid to be fully present and very afraid to kind of like uh, to express the full range of my mind, really, and
Hmm.
my spirit. Kind of just kind of feeling like I needed to make myself a little smaller for this and that and the third thing. And it definitely showed in the music that I was making. I would kind of like put it in a box because like, oh, people aren't trying to hear that. People aren't trying to hear that. People aren't trying to hear that. Um, and it was kind of like, and you got to be consistent. You got to, do that kind of thing. And I kind of felt like limited by some of these things. I was sort of hanging over my own head, sort of shaming myself for, I don't know, not already having all the answers yet. When you know what I mean. So these days, the music has kind of taken on a new type of groove, kind of its new sound. It's just expanding pretty much on everything, but I'm definitely adding like way more elements, different, almost like I don't want to necessarily say tribal, but almost like maybe bossa stuff, Latin stuff. Really kind of incorporating things and not being scared to like not be called hip hop anymore or not be called R&B anymore. Really being okay with stepping completely away from those boxes and kind of genreless, like Malik had said. And so just so and it's all about the joy of it too. Now it's kind of like, well, I want to make this and it feels really good, and when people listen to it, you could feel that they are being washed over with the joy as well. So I have a lot of like different things on deck. Like my newest EP is definitely going to be a step forward from the last one.
Fire. I like that idea too. Just like just being joyful while making music. And
Yeah.
so the work shows, and this is a question I have for you.
Mhm.
When I met you, so we met at the show, and then however many months went by, and I saw you post that flyer, and I DM'd for the address. I was like, can I bring my camera or whatever? And we really first talked there, besides DMing, and it was like a very welcoming energy that you had. I was like, oh, are we friends like already? Is that what's happening? It wasn't like, hey, welcome to the show. You're like, hey, let me show you around. What's happening here? Blah blah blah. And like we just started talking. Do you have like um, a routine or any mental health thing or something you do to like stay open and like peaceful like that and like keep that energy with you out in the world? Because a lot of people get that stamped out pretty quick.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It definitely means a lot that that's what I impart to people. It definitely is something I prioritize. That people feel like a sense of warmth and they feel, I guess, like more loved or more kind of um, regarded after interacting with me. So I feel pretty good about that. I think for me, it's really nothing more that'll shake your fear of shit going down than shit going down.
Mm.
So it's like, well, what's the worst? I mean, so we already figured out what's going to happen when something is bad, when something bad happens, right? And something bad is going to probably happen again. I could either, sit there and prevent the inevitable, thereby probably making it worse,
Hmm.
or I can really focus on like really sitting in my own just like gratitude. I used to wake up days just so miserable and so like anxious and so mad at the world and so tired. I used to be so tired. I used to like get up and do like one or two things and be like, oh, I'm tired. I'm kind of tired of everything. I'm just gonna go sleep. Thank you, Malik. I'm Alive is also my favorite too. He's in the private chat talking about how he likes it.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
getting way behind the scenes here.
Yeah, at any rate, the point is that's really what it comes down to. Like the openness serves me. The openness serves me. It makes me feel good about myself. It makes me every time I walk into experience and I leave with that, I always have a better experience than if I walk in not being like that. So I have to be like that.
I feel that. Yeah, when people are like, well, this could happen or that, like all these bad things, it's like, well, what if none of that happens and all these good things happen instead?
Right.
Like I have never actually been able to predict the future accurately.
Yeah, I think one of the big things is I've dealt with certain things lately that, without going into too much detail, I started to realize that my biggest fear was not of the actual occurrence; it was of the judgment that followed.
Ooh.
It was about the way that people would react, support, and be like, "Oh, how come you didn't do this? Or how come you didn't do that?" And I think that's what people are really scared of. People are scared of people questioning whether or not they prepared enough for it, or whether or not they fortified themselves enough, or whether they're not they, I don't know, fairy dusted their way out of it. I don't know what people be coming up with. Anyway, so once I started kind of really not giving a fuck about that judgment, can we cuss? I'm sorry.
You just did. It's fine. Go for it.
So I stopped worrying about that judgment. That's the one thing. Also, kind of going back to your last question about like, oh, what's new with your music? I think that's one of the things. Is like I'm getting to a point where my music is practically daring you to judge me. Like I fucking dare you. Please do.
Fine.
I feel that.
Yeah.
That's fire. I definitely resonate with that. So speaking of which, the new album Afro Mystic coming in July.
Yes.
We got an idea what it's going to sound like now, and you're working with Alpha Pup. Is that a distro deal? What's happening there?
It's a distribution deal. It's been really dope working with them. Kind of shadowing Daddy Kev on certain things, and it was really Danielle who brought me on with them, and just getting the exposure has just magnified the opportunities and just the connections that have been made. Magnified. I mean, I met you through them.
That's true, yeah.
And it's like I just felt like linking up with them has put me on a whole different plane. It's kind of like taking me out from the floating uncertainty of whatever the fuck this music is, and has actually given it like a sense of a root and a purpose, and also exposed me to a certain audience that I really feel at home with. So those things I've been really grateful for those things. It's been amazing.
That sounds pretty awesome. Like if you were a record company and that was the review, like I think you'd have to see that and be like, well, we're doing something right.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I really think that they are, because every week it's scenario. People get a shot. Like I feel so proudly, I guess, exposed to just the various available genres and the various, I guess, the way that people go about their performance regimen or whatever. Like we're always presented with something different, and I think I'm really glad to be involved with folks that encourage that. That goes all the way back to the first thing I was saying about being worried about the box and stuff like that. Boom, now we're with the company and not too worried about that anymore.
That's fire. Yeah, and they're so on point. Every Wednesday I get a text, saying, hey, scenario tonight is blah, blah. I've been giving other people a hard time. I'm like, what? Why do I know about this guy's show and I don't know about yours? Like, how are you? Promoters can always, like, if this guy is texting me, like, why aren't you? Like, I'm related to you, and I don't know when your thing is, or what, you know what I mean? It's like, so shout out to them for, like, there's always another bar, too, for promotion, and it doesn't even feel invasive. It's just a PSA, and I'm like, all right, that's cool,
Yeah.
So that's dope. That's coming in July, early July, late July. Like, can people put a date on their calendar?
I don't know yet.
We don't know yet?
Yeah, I don't know yet. It's going to be in July. I know that for sure. It's probably going to be mid-July. Judging by, because the way I like to do my releases is I like to kind of have a lot of time to promote, a lot of time to set a date for a release, and to really kind of make that make sense. I think now that I look back on it, I might have made a misstep in terms of just like I've already been performing some of the music, so you've already pretty much heard a lot of it. So like a release event will be interesting to plan. So all that time, it just takes some time to make sure all that is nailed down. I can get a very clear vision. It's like, okay, this can be executed in 6 weeks. Okay, this can be executed in 4 weeks. You know, kind of
I would argue that's not a mistake.
Okay.
I think more people should probably play their songs live before they even decide if it's going to be on the album.
That's
You know what I
a good
mean?
point.
Like,
Yeah.
see how people react. Like, ooh, maybe that bridge could be different. You know what I mean? Like, you can always tweak it. And plus, now when we go to the release event, we'll know the words. So that's not a bad thing either, you know?
That is really dope.
So the OG supporters will be tapped in.
Right.
Was there anything you wanted to talk about tonight that we didn't get to?
Is there anything I want to talk about tonight we didn't get to? I mean, honestly, I'm just like excited to be a part of the vibe. Like this is dope.
It is a vibe.
Yeah, I'm just kind of glad to be here. I'm glad to be here and observe and to engage and to, you know, just participate in the joys of collaboration. And whether it's just like talking about it or, you know, doing the thing.
We are glad to have you here. Does that mean you'll be sticking around with us for this next guest?
I'm sticking around.
All right, then. So, y'all who are tuned in and been tuned in, you might have heard this before, but share the live, share the live, share the live. If you remember my guy G-Eyes during Instagram days, that was his share the live, share the live. Like, you can always, I know y'all know somebody who would get something out of this conversation, whether they're an artist or a fan. And that goes to folks who are listening to the replay. Yes, this will be up on YouTube and Facebook after the fact. It'll be on Twitch for, I believe they keep it up for a week. And we have our art grant going right now. So if you want to become a member, if you want to learn about becoming a member, this is the #1 time to join up what we got going on. You'll literally be, please, let's talk about it. You'll literally be producing music. So somebody is going to get, his art is going to come into the world thanks to y'all. So LFOD.life for all of that. Oh, we got folks in the building. We got Creator K in here. Shout out the Kowalski fam. I know Big Bro. Hey. I know them all, you know. So, Flip, you say something?
Is there a way to see the chat while seeing the screen, or is it one at a time on the mobile?
I do not know. I'm not able to tech support at the moment, but we're going to bring to the stage. Unless, Flip, did you have a question for Upper Reality or any comments, or you were just taking it in?
I was just taking it in. I'm a fan, so I'm obviously going to tap in. I seen the video that you shared earlier, and I was just like, this is fire. And then you said that she makes the beats and sings on the joint, so no one did. I was like, yo, I'm a fan now, because that's like my whole thing. I love that whole mind state. You know what I mean? It's just.
Yeah, you were talking about how like you're the record label and all that kind of stuff. That also lines up with me as well. Like I got the whole 9, built the studio up, got the mics, got the instruments.
So
like burning and
big DIY vibes in the building right now.
Yeah,
self-sufficiency. I love it.
Absolutely.
That's why I was just like, I respect it. So I'm a fan. I'm definitely gonna tap in. So
thank you. Likewise, we'll definitely do that.
Let's go. All right, so coming to the stage, if y'all could have a warm welcome for Malik Elijah.
What's good?
What's happening, my guy? How are you?
You know, just enjoying the conversation. There's been a lot of good vibes, learning about different artists and stuff. Like, it's been cool. I like it.
Yeah, man. You've been heavy in the private chat. I think this is the first live where people have actually even really used that, besides saying, like, yo, I need to leave. Like, how do I get off the air gracefully? Like,
nah, man. I'm like to meet people. I like to meet people. Like, so it's fun for me. I like to talk. So.
Yeah, and you're from, we are like super fresh here. Like we connected via DM like maybe a week and a half ago. I think you invited me to one of your shows, which is fire. Shout out to artists. Now that shows are back, like you definitely want to invite media to them. It's a good look. Like I may not be in your city, but I probably know someone there who I can send on our behalf if it lines up. So that was a dope way to introduce yourself. And then you were like, can I send you music? You sent the record. I like the record. Beam me up. We played it on the radio.
Appreciate
you
it.
hopped in the art grant, man. And I don't know if you missed it by three votes. I want to say.
Oh, are you serious?
Like, bro, you went super hard and me. I was like, is this dude gonna like pull it all off in a week? So you went super hard there, but you got this happening. You were like, can we do an interview? And I'm like, hey man, we're doing the whole reason I designed this is people have been asking me for interviews and to be real, Well, it's based off Instagram Live during the pandemic. I did this every Tuesday, and I brought random people up. Nobody scheduled, just people popped in. I met new people every week. But people have been asking for stuff, and I've filmed all the in-person ones I'm going to do for the whole year at this point. So I was like, let me pull people in at the end. So this was perfect. It lined up. You're here now, man. It's like we're making it all happen. So welcome. And you're from Maryland.
Yeah, I'm from Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Upper Marlboro? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know my guy Tony is always on here repping PG County, so
that's where I'm from, PG County, Maryland.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go.
Born and raised for 18 years of my life until I went to college.
That's what's up. That's one of those things where I don't exactly know where it is on a map, but I know I rock with folks from there. So
yeah, it's Southern Maryland.
Well, welcome, man. And you're in Boston now, or what's going on? How did you tap in with us?
I don't like to say I'm in Boston. I'm 45 minutes outside of Boston. I'm in Taunton, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So that's where I'm chilling out with my lady. So I live here with her. Yeah.
Good for you family. I was gonna say, good for you making the distinction, because I meet people on the road who are like, I'm from Boston. I'm like, cool, what part? And they're like, oh, Wellesley. And I'm like, come on, bro.
I see in Maryland, like a lot of people sometimes would like to claim like they're from DC when they're not from DC. Like I can never say that I'm from somewhere that I don't know. Don't get me wrong though. I did deliver out in South Boston for like a whole year with Amazon, so I know a good amount of the area. Yeah.
Okay. Word. I used to live out there. That's what's up, man. So you came up to, for family reasons, it sounds like, and then you just tapped in with the creative scene, or tell us a bit about how this unfolded.
So I went to school in Maine. I got an audio engineering degree from New England School of Communications. I went there for 4 years, got my bachelor's, but I met my girlfriend at school. I was living out there for summertime, just like working like different jobs and like making music. Obviously, that's what I always do. And then her parents, my girlfriend's parents, gave me the option of living with them upstairs to just be able to rent. And they also allowed me to invest in building a studio in a corner of the house. So yeah, that's what we're sitting in right now. For the first year of the pandemic, actually, me and my girlfriend's dad, we built this together. So yeah, soundproof, acoustically treated, all that. It's more than what I could ask for, to be honest. I'm just blessed to have the space.
That's
man,
awesome.
Family can be such a power up, huh?
Yeah, man. I've been with my girlfriend for about 5 years now, and her family just treats me like I'm just a part of them, and they support my music and just push me to go harder, as well as my family does as well. So it's just a blessing to have a good support system. Yeah.
Man, I'm happy to hear you have that, for real.
Thank you.
So Beam Me Up, that's the jam.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right now. There's some more stuff coming with that as well that you're going to see soon that we put together for you. Now, I was looking things up. It says your debut mixtape was in 2020. There's no way that's when you started rapping, though, right?
Nah.
Okay.
I started rapping. Well, I've always been into music. Like my earliest remembrance of music was like age of 3. That's the earliest I can remember anything music.
You're a drummer, right?
Yeah, my dad taught me how to drum when I was like 3 or 4. He used to he was in a go-go band. That's like a really big genre where I'm from. Yeah, so he used to play drums for like go-go bands, and then he I don't know, I just had an inclination to just want to pick up the sticks and started playing, and then realizing I also somewhat realizing I could sing without ever having any lessons. It was just it was kind of just I like to say it was God-given to me. So I just take the talents and also put in the hard work with the talent. I didn't even know what hip hop was. So I was 13. I was heavily I was a church boy. So I didn't know nothing about, all I knew was gospel music and go-go music. And then after that, my brother started picking me up from school more. My brother was kind of a little bit problem child or whatever. So he was bumping I remember instances of him bumping Wiz Khalifa, early Wiz Khalifa, before he was popping at all. Yeah, bro, stuff like that, Flight School, bro. Dog, when I was younger, I could literally spit that whole mixtape to you front to back. Front to back, bro, I still bump material.
Dog, amen. Dog, yo, Wiz is a legend in my eyes.
Wiz is a legend, yo. He definitely patterned a lot of stuff that I have, even though I wouldn't say my sound is similar to him, but after just hearing my brother bump a whole bunch of rap music, I started discovering people myself. Like I discovered K. Dot, who we now know is Kendrick Lamar, all the Top Dog Entertainment, discovering early J. Cole, early Drake, like before Drake had any chains, was rich as how he is now. Like, and Mac Miller too, like just expanded my mind on the type of music that I more so gravitated towards too, which some people may call backpack rapper conscious, but that's just the realm that I started diving into. And then Kendrick Lamar is my favorite artist, but it really solidified for me when I heard Mick Jenkins' The Waters mixtape. I was like, okay,
Fire.
this is something.
Flames.
Yeah, that is
Amen.
like The Waters, Section 80, Overly Dedicated, Setbacks by Schoolboy Q. Those are some of the projects that really shape the type of music that I just love to like make, and the sounds that I kind of like gravitate towards. Yeah.
An era, yo. Amen.
Yeah.
Word.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been putting it together behind the scenes, and then you just started dropping basically.
Yeah.
Coincidence.
So
did you?
I've been releasing since I was 16. Actually, I used to go by my name used to go by Maze the Visionary, and I thought that sounded like too like underground rappy, so I just went with my real name.
That's very Icon the Verbal Hologram.
Yeah, so I've been making music for about 9 years.
Yeah, word. Okay, that was my next thing. Was like, there's another name. Then I can tell when the new names pop out. But it's dope because like you do everything right. You know that you didn't do the first time. It's a nice fresh. Yeah. Man, we're going to have to talk go-go. I saw Backyard Band last time I was.
Oh, word. Okay.
It was a borderline life-changing experience.
Mm-hmm. How did you enjoy the bounce beat?
I loved it, man. I had a really good time. It's funny because, dude, there was like people there that just like wanted to talk to Stringer Bell, you know, or no, sorry, Slim Charles, like, you know what I mean? Because it's homie from The Wire. Is the front.
Oh yeah.
So they're like, oh, I'm your big so there were like Wire fans there, and like also.
Wait, he's in the band.
Yeah, he's the front man.
I didn't even know that. I was kind of like mad young when The Wire came out. So
yeah, go-go's crazy. It's you've probably talked to your pops. It's a very serious genre. A lot of things went down at those shows. It's still the heaviest security I've ever been through to get
because we like how people call them parties, we call them functions. So go-go, the way it started, obviously it started with the late great Chuck Brown, rest in peace. He created the subgenre of go-go, and then it developed into my era of go-go music, like what my brother and my older sister came up with, which is like more of a bounce beat. So like instead of like kind of like the funky sound and stuff, it's more of just like kind of like a lot of loud noises together that just kind of like mesh. And then usually with go-go music, they do remixes of like mainstream songs. So it's like mostly
covers.
Yeah, it's mostly covers. But to me, I thought those were the real songs because I never knew anything about rap music. So Gucci Bandana by like Soulja Boy. The Gucci Bandana was one of the biggest go-go songs, I believe, by one of my favorite bands, XIB. They made that joint, and then everybody, I thought that was the original version. You know what I'm saying? Like certain Gucci Man songs, I thought that was the original versions from go-go bands. So like that's, and then after a while, I had a realization. I was like, oh wait, no, these are just remixes or like covers.
Yeah, go-go's real cool, and you really have to hear it in DC. It doesn't really work outside of it necessarily, but like
they do bump it a lot in North Carolina.
Okay. So in that little region there, but I like it. And maybe you can listen to it anywhere. I found that it works best.
I have listened to it in other states and been like, oh, okay. But then like
it's
in DC and I'm listening to it, I'm like, okay, yeah.
It's a very niche sound, and it's not really accepted by a lot of ears, but people that do have an appreciation for it, do understand it. Like even in school bands, they play go-go beats. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
they probably
I used to want to be a tambali player.
That's fire. And if folks want to do a deep dive, we have a interview on our YouTube with Defcee Poem, who is a sort of DC like vet of like go-go scene, MC, all sorts of stuff. And we get deep into the history of DC and go-go, and like it's a very cultural thing. It has a lot to do with gentrification. There's a lot more behind it than the music. Trust. It's like very
DC's getting hella gentrified right now.
Defcee Poem, though, I'll put it in the comments if folks want to go on our YouTube page and check this guy out.
Copy.
I know Defcee mentioned, you know, he only has a certain amount of time, so I want to bring him on here shortly, Malik. But I think this is like nice introduction to your energy, my dude. And What can folks expect from you going forward? You got more music coming? Like, what's the
Yeah,
vibe
man.
there?
More. Well, I don't know what K will allow me to say, but I do got a single coming out top of June, and I got a tape coming out July. I don't know if I can say the dates. K, you can answer that in the comments if you're still in there. But just more music coming and just more shows. This is the
He
most
said
shows
my
I've done in a
manager
year.
is in the chat room.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's still in here. But Creator K, I don't know. But
we'll put
yeah,
it on the
just more
screen
music.
if he drops the date. We'll put it on the
Word,
screen.
yeah. But
Thank you so much.
And we'll
Sorry,
remain
guys.
tapped in with you for sure, man. Malik Elijah. Am I saying your name right? I got it right.
yes,
right?
sir. Malik Elijah. Oh, he said
Look
I
at
can
that,
say
July
it. July
15th.
15th.
Let's go.
Here we go.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely
Got
gonna
that.
be tapped in for that.
New
Definitely.
Malik
you, I
Elijah,
appreciate it.
July 15th. Through the
Yeah,
proper
we dropping the
channels.
same month.
We might drop on the same like 2 days apart or something like that. We can cross
Wow.
promote. Let's do it.
Yeah, link. That would be fire.
Yeah. it would
So, before I bring Defcee on, you guys all gonna hang? Are we gonna do a big party here?
be. So
Yeah, I'm with it.
the cafe just told me that they're about to close.
Okay.
So I'm probably stay on for like I'll try to stay on for like 8 minutes. 5 to 8
Okay.
minutes.
Well, if we see you disappear, we'll understand why.
yeah.
Thank you for being here, and thank
yeah,
you
it's been
for.
really, really dope. You guys are so dope.
I know
I
you're
encourage-
awesome.
I encourage you to all maintain contact with each other and with us, and like anything you can think of, like reach out to me, reach out to each other. Keep me in the loop if y'all end up doing stuff, like let's go. It's a launching pad. So now bringing to the stage, I guess we'll call him the main event here. We got from Chicago, Illinois, the one and only Defcee. What's happening, man?
Yo, what's going on? How are you?
Good. This is a new layout for me. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. I'm going to maybe put you like that. Does that work for you?
It does not, but if it works best for the show, I'm a team player.
Oh, you'd rather be like that? Is that good?
Yeah. I mean, whatever you want to do, Sam. Whatever you want to do is good.
Hey, man. All right. Well, this has been. We've never had our first guest make it to the end before. This is the first time everyone has made it to the final round.
Yo, dream team.
So do we get money for this? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that we now get, like the $250,000 prize? It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right? We made it to the end of,
Yeah. There's definitely money somewhere in this for you. You know who does get money? One of our top 10 finalists for our art grant, which you can vote for at lofod.life. Right.
You know I'm voting for Yoshi
LFOD.life.
Vintage. You know I'm voting for
Segue
Yoshi
master
Vintage.
right there.
That was very well
skillful.
done. We exist. I'm
very
happy to
skillful.
help. I want to put money in the pockets of artists in general. So if folks have ideas and interests and ways to do that and ways we can all do that together, tap me in for sure.
Agreed.
But so brief introduction. We got Defcee here from River Forest, Illinois, active on the Chicago scene for over a decade now. You just dropped your new album, For All Debts, Public and Private, with producer Boathouse. You want to break down that title for me real quick?
Sure. I mean, For All Debts, Public and Private, I believe is the phrase that's printed on all paper currency in the United States. And it's also the title. It's also like one of my favorite Sopranos episodes titles. So I decided to go with that too. Like that's kind of where it came from was that particular episode. Just that title stood out to me. And really the idea of For All Debts, Public and Private for me is that, the idea of owing gratitude to people or owing, an elevation of what it is I do to people who have believed in me for a long time. It's also, owing explanations and or, offering opportunities to create dialogue about certain things as well that, conversations that might be happening behind the scenes that need to be more in the forefront, especially in Chicago hip hop right now. And, just paying back my debt to hip hop in general. I think, when it comes to this music, it really saved my life. Between this and my mentor in poetry, I don't know that I would be alive today without either one of them. So to know that I was you know, in a position to be able to kind of, based on what I'd done with some of the music last year, have a platform and a lot to say. I felt like I owed it to people to really deliver with this project in terms of the lyrics and in terms of the music that I made for it with Boathouse, who's an incredible producer.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Boat's wild. Yeah.
It's funny. I learned about him through you, to be honest. It's funny. There's so many people making music these days that like you just find out that's why this stuff's important, you know, and doing those like next step type of projects where now you've brought his name to a different audience and maybe he's brought yours and vice versa.
Yeah, he definitely has, for sure. Definitely.
So you mentioned like owing a lot to hip hop or people or feeling that way. But from my research on you, it seems like you've been a guy who's been giving back pretty consistently. I found out you did the Young Chicago Authors MC Rec Shop, and that caught my attention. We have a rec shop movement out here, which is based in like ciphers and stuff like that. So this was like kind of a workshop for young MCs, or?
So it originally started in the summer of 2011. Myself and a producer named Seb Severe were giving private rap workshops to young people through a social worker in the suburbs. And the then artistic director of YCA, Kevin Koval, ran into Seb at a radio show at Loyola University Radio here in Chicago. And Seb was explaining what we were doing. And at the time, I just graduated from college, and Kevin brought me into the organization. We wound up turning what was a nonprofit into like a regular weekly workshop space. Seb stepped away after the first year, and then we had kind of a succession of a bunch of different people to co-facilitate it and then add to. About 5 years ago, they brought him on board, and he and I get along really well. I've known him for about 15 years. And you know, it was trying to provide a space that I wish I'd had when I was coming up, where I was just kind of able to sharpen my craft and nerd out about it with people who are there to do the same exact thing. Yeah, facts, definitely. And so that was where Rec Shop came from. And then Vans, during the pandemic, created this Channel 66 online platform that I think they've since put on hiatus or folded, I don't know what, but we were able to do Rec Shop live with Vans, which was really dope, at the House of Vans in Chicago. And we were able to put a lot of people we believed in on Vans platform, able to get them like, you know, able to get them like free gear, which was really cool, and just kind of, you know, the opportunity to get them to build with one another as well, which is super dope too. So, and was kind of the whole point of Rec Shop to begin with. Like when we first started hosting classes, and I apologize if I'm being long-winded. When we first started hosting classes, you know, people like No Name and Saba and Pivot Gang and Mick Jenkins were coming through. People like Femdot, Joseph Chilliams, MF and Mello, like they were stopping by back then at that point. And they, you know, they would stop by for like a second or two because they had so much going on. And it was just kind of like, okay, it was dope. It's dope looking back to see that it kind of felt like that was a space they were able to enter into as well for a similar purpose, right? And so it was like, that was, and we've been on hiatus for about a year in terms of the workshop. And I think I want to get back into it soon, just because this is going to be the 10th year that we've been running it. And it's one of those things that really, like, if I'm in, you know, people who have been rapping their whole lives during the workshop, people who are in high school and just really getting started pursuing the craft, they're in the workshop. We had people who rap their whole lives and then stopped because they figured they weren't going to be famous, who then, you know, they just found our workshop on social media and came through, and it was their first time rapping in 6 or 7 years. So it was just
fine.
like it's been really cool. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And so like just being able to have the opportunity to do that has been really humbling and a way to pay it forward. And you know, it wasn't charity work, right? Like we got paid to do it. So I don't want to take too much credit. I don't want to take too much credit in terms of like giving back as much as it was for me, just paying forward what was given to me by like Tomorrow Kings out here in Chicago, like all of my big brothers in this rap shit who put money in my pocket, put me on game, put me on stages. When it didn't like I didn't have albums out, I just had singles or freestyles or whatever, and that were still putting me in positions to win. You know,
Fire.
and so like I want to be able to do that for other people as well, you know. And I think that right now in the underground in hip hop, like in independent hip hop, really people like the three of us are finally able to build in a lot of these spaces thanks to people like yourself, Sam. And then, you know, what happens then is the community and the cipher continues to grow. And we're able to pull more people into it from places we hadn't expected before, because just based off of their talent and because they're super nice. We don't have to deal with the political bullshit that comes with dealing with the major labels or the mainstream music industry, especially now. Like we don't got to worry about algorithms, anything like that. We just got to worry about the goals that we want to accomplish. And along the way, we can offer opportunities to young people instead of just expecting them to like struggle in the same exact ways we did coming up.
Right.
You know, and we can also use our losses to then inform them in terms of taking the right steps to do things the right way. So like all of this stuff goes into Rec Shop and you know, basically it's become like part of my philosophy as a rapper. And the older I've gotten, it's just been like, and then especially just and again, I'm answering questions you didn't ask me, but I'm off on these tangents because I have ADHD, and that was a good first question.
If that's like, you know,
even
if I can spark it, I'm happy. You know,
Words.
I'll cut you off if it gets crazy. You know.
Okay, cool. So like, even for example, right, this idea of me as a white man being a guest in hip hop, right? Like this is a conversation that might come across as controversial to a lot of people, but if I'm being honest with myself about it and I take a step back and I look at it, the culture was created by people who do not look like me in order to like really combat institutional issues that were created by people who look like me. You know what I mean? And so in that sense, I think I would be very irresponsible if I were not doing my best to be able to subvert my platform to help Black and brown people, if I can, in hip hop culture, get on. You know, because I don't want this shit to just be about me at the end of the day. I don't want to be. I think we've seen what happens when white rappers become celebrities. You know what I mean? Like they're just kind of different. There are a lot of different abdications of responsibility. There are a lot
they become musicians,
or they go pop,
or they just the minute that their race is brought up, they get super defensive,
right?
And like shy away from the conversation instead of really trying to learn something. So that's part of it too. You know, I think that there are a lot of responsibilities that I have, and I want to make sure I'm living up to all of them when it comes to this hip hop shit, because if I don't, then I'm playing myself and I'm just taking up space that somebody else could have, you know?
Right. It's kind of like,
bro.
I mean,
Respect.
each one teach one
Thank
is
you.
a pretty like OG tenet, I think, of the whole thing, you know? So
yeah,
that's dope to see it revolving with that and like understanding. Like it's an interesting argument because you can have, I understand when people are like, why do I have to study this thing? Why can't I express myself? This is how I express myself. But there's another layer when you have a culture involved and when you have all the other pieces where it's like, do a little homework, maybe like understand what you're participating in. You don't need to, but it goes a long way. Like I think as a human being, you know.
But if I'm an athlete and I don't study game tapes, then I'm not gonna be on point when I hit the court. You know what I mean?
Like that's what I don't understand. Yeah, why is it different?
Something comes from somewhere.
Facts. Yeah. If I'm a surgeon, right? If I don't study, in med school, the different techniques and procedures that I need to do in order to become a surgeon, I might open somebody up and not know what the fuck I'm supposed to take out. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
Like, oh, I got the liver when you're supposed to grab the heart.
I feel that.
Yeah. He walked in. We were gonna remove his pancreas, and his lungs are gone. I don't know what happened. But
Now
yeah,
he's
no,
dead.
like I think that's something that I'm cognizant of as well. And I just think in general, you know, anytime you're approaching a culture that isn't necessarily built for you, be curious before you're defensive. Like replace the defensiveness with curiosity and seeking to understand. Because if you show up with that defensive attitude every time, every L you take, like Flip, what you were talking about, every L you take is going to feel that much more personal. And at a certain point, you're just going to be a bitter ass old head who's super resentful and can't enjoy the success of people who he came up with. You know what I mean? Exactly.
No, and I don't mean to cut you off, but that's actually like it's you actually answered it for what I was answering with Sam. Like I was doing the personal issue of like, yo, I've seen people with the envy and this and that, but honestly, the whole purpose every day of why I show people the L's that I take is what you said, yo. I want you to not make the same mistake I made. Like fucking avoid this fucking roadblock over here and go up. You know what I mean? Like because I've done some success, so it's the same shit with you. So it's like I want you to not have to do that same bullshit I did, where I was making these dumb mistakes. I was following this person that was leading me down the wrong way because they was taking from me and not fucking put me on the game and shit. Whereas, you know what I mean? So it's like that's pretty much I felt you on all that, bro. Like because again, I'm as well. I'm white, so it's like I'm a guest in this culture. At the end of the day, the first step of my, you know what I mean? Like when I wake up, it's like I'm a guest. It's not like, oh, you did this and that. It doesn't change to me. You know what I mean? So I respect everything you're saying and where you're coming from. Like that's how I view myself. So I can resonate completely, bro. You know what I mean? Not to cut you off. Just
I
hit that
appreciate
right on the
that,
head,
man.
nail on the head, bro.
I appreciate.
You know what I mean?
It's all good. We're just building, and that again is kind of like one of my favorite things about hip hop culture is this idea of building with people that I normally might not have the opportunity to build with, and then from that, right, can then like, you know. Like this conversation is deeper than just, yo, send me a beat. You know what I mean? This conversation is deeper than just like, yo, let's do a song together. You know, so when you have that understanding, then when the collaboration finally does happen, shit is going to be fire because there's a deeper understanding amongst all the artists.
And that's where people mess up sometimes. Like a lot of people just want to hop into a record when it's like, yo, I don't even know who you are yet. Like, how you gonna tell me? How you gonna ask me, yo, let's collab when we haven't even had a conversation? Like, I literally just did a record with a kid that I never met before, but we hopped on FaceTime and had a conversation for 2 hours, and then I knocked out the verse in 20 minutes because I felt that energy from him. You know what I'm saying?
You knew where he was coming from, so you know where to come from.
Yeah,
like, I got you. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And like, just as like we're doing in this interview, we're learning each other's backgrounds. I got to learn his background, so. And especially like I respect for you to have the awareness of just like knowing where you are in the culture, but also like how can you attribute instead of just like making it just all about you. I appreciate that.
That's love, man. I appreciate that. And speaking of backgrounds, you were talking about Go-Go. I opened for Wale when he came through my college with UCB.
Fire.
Crazy.
Yo. And that was like one of the craziest live shows I've ever seen. Like Go-Go music live. I know that like you gotta see it. Where it'd be like footwork in music. You know, you gotta come to Chicago to really see people footwork in order to like fully understand it. You know what I mean? So like I definitely understand that, but I was blown away just by the amount of like
soul and energy and
music and musicality and just like all of these parts that seem like they should clash actually meshing very beautifully and seamlessly with somebody rhyming on top of it. You know?
Yeah, if you want to tap into like some of my favorite go-go bands is New Impressions, XIB, CCB, and then I want to name one more, which Dream Team. Dream Team was probably my favorite one growing up. in high school. I would love when because people growing up, when you have your Sweet 16, you have a function. So they'll bring it the parents, the parents that got money, they'll hire the go-go band. You probably got a little open space, would be 100, 200 kids, bro, just cranking, dog.
Oh
yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
That's
it was
crazy.
great. Yeah, bro.
Good
My
time.
mom didn't let me go to a lot of them though. I was a sheltered kind of kid, so trying to get out to some of them was hard. But I got to a few of them joints.
Yo.
And those are
Yeah.
MCs for real too. You get up on stage for 2.5 hours with a band behind you and engage
Longer.
the crowd.
Longer than that. They'll go for four to six.
Maybe with an intermission, two.
Nah, bro, no
that-
intermission.
nah, with
You're
that-
going
with that-
straight.
Oh, maybe I caught Backyard on
See, wait, what year did you see Backyard?
2020.
I was gonna say with that.
Yeah,
Backyard.
Okay, so Backyard, they're older Backyard now.
Yeah. No, they were back.
So when Backyard will turn up for some hours.
Yeah, I got
That's crazy.
in another life maybe. Defcee too. I wanted to give you, before we got totally off it, I wanted to thank you again for that teaching moment. You mentioned you had people who didn't become famous, so they stopped making music. And I think one of the illest tools, or one of the illest things about hip hop is it teaches you how to express yourself, how to be yourself, how to have morals, principles, how to present yourself to the world. And it can't even be therapeutic. So I think it's fire for people to know that some of the illest MCs I've ever met, you wouldn't know it if you weren't in a cypher outside a bar in Boston. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure it's the same in every city. And they don't want more than that. They don't need more than that. But in that circle, that's their shit, man. And to have people remember that's what it's about really. Is it's a live thing, it's an intimate thing, it's an energy exchange,
Before capitalism.
Right. Yeah. And I learned that in two places, right? So when I was in college, I did a year abroad in Panama. When I was in Panama, I was just talking about this the other night with somebody. I was seeing for the first time hip hop the way it was originated in New York, where you have it wasn't I think a lot of us go to events that are curated, right? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. That comes with time, right? When there are certain things that grow in certain places, eventually they develop infrastructure so shit is more seamless and easier, and you bring the best crowd in, right? But here it was literally my friends are breaking in the park with a bunch of other B-boys and B-girls from Panama City, and there's a cipher that's happening right next to that. This group of dudes called La Orquesta de Freestyle, where they're just kind of rhyming back and forth, and I'm meeting people. This dude Oso, who toured with Hieroglyphics, I think, in the United States. Either the whole crew or just Souls of Mischief. And he used to go to the bar or the clubs with his little ASCAP badge around his neck like a chain. Shit was crazy. and so he told me about how he and his brother used to have to sit on the roof of their project building with the radio to catch reception from the U.S. military base at the canal to listen to music, and how they used to trade certain things for tapes from the soldiers, like Bone Thugs and Harmony tapes and all of that, because that's how much they loved the music and how limited their access to the music was as well. So and then in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I went out there for work in 2013 to host an event, and I met a bunch of rappers there. And there were no put-ons, there was no pretension, there was no all of these dudes just loved making music and were in community with one another, and they knew where they were at. They didn't have any notions about celebrity or because they were yo, we're in fucking Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's we're not, we're not in. And that's not a knock on Tulsa, but if Chicago doesn't,
it's not a music industry hub. It's
not for rap. Certainly not for rap and hip hop. Maybe for country, but not for rap and hip hop.
Even that is Nashville. So yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. And so like
it's tough out there.
yeah. And so to like be able to kind of see people, it helps you not take the shit for granted and reminds you why you did it in the first place. And I think for me, a lot of it came from, I started rhyming when I was like writing rhymes when I was 11 years old, just because I loved hip hop and it was something fun. I just got inspired to do it on a whim. You know, I wasn't doing this shit to get famous. And then eventually it became a way to build community and, you know, all of these other things that were able to anchor me into what it is I do now. So, yeah, you're right. 1,000%. Like that's what, you know, when you break everything down to the essence, it really just is about building and trying to contribute to that spirit of community.
Hell yeah. And I noticed too, you did some work with like incarcerated youth. And I think that's fire because I know kids out here, they're not kids anymore, but younger folks in like Boston who like, because they had hip hop, they could work their shit out, at least to a point where they weren't gonna come to blows when they saw each other on records versus if they didn't even have that conflict management thing or that way to express themselves. Who knows where certain things could have gone. So it's dope that you're tapping in with folks and giving them like different tools to express themselves, really, man, especially kids, because it's wild out here right now.
I appreciate that. And yeah, you know, for as wild as it is, for sure, I think there are a lot of misconceptions about this generation of kids too. And, you know, we're not really talking about the amount of things they have to deal with in terms of there's like this constant battle for the reward centers of their brains between social media companies, phone companies, all that.
I meant wild, like the world we're giving.
Oh
them.
yeah,
Like, if you have,
I mean, but that's part of it, and that's part of it too. Is like kids are like they're looking at the world.
They don't even, like they don't know what we were like before it was like this. And we're like, oh, it's just crazy because it's just crazy. Like we remember before. They don't have that. They're like, this is it. Like how the fuck do I keep?
See, and I'm like the last piece of the world that like got the last generation that kind of like saw everything and then saw it all evolve into like the social medias and everything. Like I remember what a payphone and all what a 8-track is and all that, but I also like kind of I had an iPhone like when I was like in 4th grade. So like,
oh shit, that's crazy.
So it's like truthfully, all I know is like the social media realm, in a sense.
Wow,
which
that's
is
great. No, just salute on that. Like it's just because again, it's the errors of these kids is in a different era than what we ever were growing up and dealt with type shit. Yeah. So yeah, again, salute on tapping in with them, bro, because that's how you get to them basically.
If you're tuned in and you have any kids in your life, whether they're yours or friends or whatever, like those kids need you. So like on like a level you might not understand. So you know, be there for them. Like,
because these politicians damn sure are not going to be there for them.
No.
Talk that shit.
Never have been. Never have been. We did. Well, I don't want to. Yeah, probably not. But we don't need to be that negative. Like,
sorry.
No. You're good, man. Express yourself. I'm just.
If you heard Free Lemonade, bro, you understand why I don't like the government.
Yeah, I don't. Hey, man, there's a lot of reasons. We did have. Before we get out of here, we did actually have Defcee. You had a question sent in. From someone for you, and they wanted to know, this is kind of in line with what we're talking about. They want to know you're also a high school teacher, right? Mm-hmm. And they want to know, how does teaching influence your rap career? I think we have an idea how it influences like your approach to the world, but how does it influence like the music you make and things like that?
There are certain subjects that I cannot discuss in my music, so that's one way in which it informs it. I also have to be aware of who's listening, right? Because like I be trying to do it, like my shit, my alter ego, Defcee, Adam, or Mr. Levin, whatever, at work is like the worst shit since Clark Kent Superman, where it's like damn near like, oh, all you got to do is take the glasses off and we know exactly who you are. You know what I mean? And and so like, and so just in knowing that, especially as the music gains steam, that means I'm going to have additional responsibility in terms of, you know, the music that I make and who's tuning into it. So there are certain behaviors even that I can't really depict in the music the same way I did before, right? And I have to be selective with personal details. I have to also, at the same time, I think as a teacher, what influences my like creation of music is really just like the music I consume. I find a lot more value in a lot more things than I used to. I used to have a very narrow view about a lot of different rappers, a lot of different styles of music. I was very much a purist in the sense of like, you know, you got to match the a certain amount of syllables per rhyme scheme. You got to have like the punchlines and the extended metaphors and all that. And the thing that I came to realize is that there's pretty much a time and a place for everything. And you know, if you tap into sometimes the music that the kids are listening to, like I where I teach right now, my students are really into drill music. And
I can only imagine I'll be out your way.
Yeah.
It's crazy out there for the drill.
Yeah, they live in that life. They're not just rapping about it. They have to see it every day. Like,
in some cases, yeah, I would say like in a lot of cases, yeah, and then in some cases, no, and then in some cases,
it's like a fantasy glorified, but it's like
exactly.
It's the same thing we was doing when 50 was coming around and the gangster rap and shit. But it's like, it's just I feel like with social media, it's so in front of their faces now. Where us, it was like you had to go. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and the drill kids can like actually rap really fucking good. Like, I think it's a misconception that drill rap is something that's like has no artistic merit whatsoever.
They treat it like it's trap rap when it first came out as mumble rap.
I
feel like
it's almost like the next version of like, oh, it just must be mumble rap because it's just quick rapping, even though it's not.
I didn't even know people felt this way. I didn't know people were questioning.
Like people question
talk
drill
shit
a lot.
about
They
drill
don't think they're
rappers.
skilled. They don't think they're skilled when they are. Like, I remember when it first came out.
Drill, all that shit. All the drill rappers are getting shamed as like.
I don't read the comments anymore. I had no idea.
Especially like, yo, I'm telling you, these kids, it's like Wolverine. You meet Weapon X for the first time because they hear us and they hear the shit and they hear the shit that we say when we're shitting on them. And what they say in response to that, because that's what I love about this generation is like, all right, cool. So you say we can't do this, we're gonna do it and better and our own way. So
and
like,
wreck on you at the same time, like it's like
exactly. Like what do you know? So like
they took our spontaneity from the OGs and was like, nah, dog, y'all didn't do shit. Like what you got to really turn up, like. And what they did was like, instead of getting bitter, they got better. So I think to be able to and obviously I think there are a lot of different things that come with making drill records that like I'm not qualified to speak on because it's a life that I'm not living, and it would be disingenuous for me to speak on it. But as far as the music itself and the way that it's crafted, I think that shit is super fire. And there are some, and my students are constantly putting me on to like new shit and new people that are really dope. So that has informed my music as well. And you know, just made it too, like when you're a teacher, for a long enough time or you're in educational spaces, the thing that you start to get is a really comprehensive top to bottom understanding of what our world is because of the way its institutions treat young people. So like you start to see like what we really value as a society, or what the government really values when it comes to its citizens, in a way that, because you can like each kid, there's a certain dollar amount, literally there's like a dollar amount that's assigned to each kid. Like this is how much money it's going to take to educate and feed this kid and every now and then clothe them per day. Right. So like you're able to really see what happens when human beings become data points. And when you see that, like, if they can't find a way to put your value into numbers, you know, they'll push you to the side. Yep. Facts. And you don't see additional. So like I could talk about this all day, but it informed my view of the world, which then informs my music.
Yeah,
Fuck
man.
that, bro.
I mean, I'll expound on that real brief. Like I was just talking to the homie in Boston, and he was talking about when he became a teacher and got involved like in his school and went full circle. And he peeped certain things. Like, for example, let's say you got $3,000 or whatever per student per year, right? And you get it every 6 months. So they would keep you passing to get to that second check. And once the second check hit, they would like let you go. So he was trying to figure out why everybody in like February was like failing out, getting expelled, like whatever was going on. And they would wait. And then when he got into the administrative role, he realized like, oh, like as soon as that second check hits, all of a sudden it's like, oh, bet we don't, and you're a senior
We did our
too,
job.
like, we definitely don't even need you next year. So
Yeah,
That's wild.
and like that's just one example, I'm sure, of the layers to it, man.
That's
So
crazy. I never knew that.
I mean, it's alleged. That's what I heard. But
No,
like,
it's not. It's
It
not.
don't sound like a legend to me because I've seen the kids that
Because
I've
if we're
graduated
talking,
in high school.
if we're talking public education, we're talking taxpayer money. So there has to be transparency as far as how that taxpayer money is then spent. So like that's why, for example, you can look up. If you're a terrible person, this information is going to be very helpful to you. But you can actually look up the salaries that teachers make in your school district. Like you can, that's public information. So and it's the
you
same.
can get every state employee.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I think we've all probably seen. Have you seen that? I mean, I don't know because you went to New Hampshire, but I was saying, Mass, we were seeing teachers getting threatened because that salary was public as shit. People go up to them being like, in Mass is different. If you're a public person, you want the chopping block at all times for your fucking servants.
So you were saying you can look it up and people can
catch out with how much.
And then roll up on your kid's teacher like, my taxes are not paying your $48,000 a week or $48,000 a year salary. I wish it was $48,000 a week. $48,000 a year.
Some good stuff going on in
salary to like miseducate my child or to mistreat them when they're in your class. Like that's the thing that's super important too that I'm seeing a lot more parents do is like, you know, sometimes that public information, you got to use it. You got to put it to good use.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Yeah, man. Transparency is the name of the game. And that goes all the way around to conversations. Upper Reality was talking about it. Flip kind of kicked it off. You mentioned it. Malik touched on it briefly, maybe, but like the idea of like defensiveness and like being totally defenseless. Like if you have nothing to defend, like you're just your output and everything is going to be so much better in the world. Like, you know, so put the walls down, guys. You know, it can only help. You know, communication can only help. You know,
true.
Well, before we get out of here, because we're getting close to that time, is there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't? We should let people know all debts, public and private, out now. You know, full circle.
All streaming platforms, defcee.bandcamp.com. I also dropped a few projects last year. An EP with August Fanon based on Star Wars called We Dress the City with Our Names. An album with Messiah Music on Backwood Studios called Trapdoor. We got an Arm & Hammer feature on there, Curly Castro, Prem Rock. And then Scenic Add to feature Rich Jones, Wally West. And then, we dropped For All Debts Public and Private April 19th. Get it on all DSPs if you're feeling generous enough. You know, we got vinyl with photography by the incredible Alexander Richter. So you can definitely check that out if you're interested. I think our vinyls are like $25 or $30. It's essentially a bargain, especially when you consider the fact that people are definitely going to try to buy the shit and upsell it on Discogs. So, you know, definitely get a hold of that. And you know, I'm just being for real. You know, get it before it costs $750 that I do not see a single cent of.
I've been with artists when they're looking up their Discogs and they're like, "What is that selling for?"
You start looking up IP addresses, realize they're all in Brussels. Like I can't do anything about this. I'm again like. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for
shout
coming,
out to Malik and Flip and Upper Reality. Like it was really cool just to be able to chill, meet. All of you are new people to me, And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to meet with y'all and build with y'all. And I'm excited to check out your music and to keep building in the future.
Yo, absolutely. I appreciate
Right
that.
back at
That's
you,
what
bro.
this is about. We're happy to have
Sure.
you. Thanks for hanging, like taking the time to build. And if y'all are cool with it, usually I send stuff out with the BCC, but I can link you guys all up through email if you want that. Is that comfortable?
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
dope.
All right,
That'd be
cool.
dope.
So we'll keep
Send
the
it.
convo going. We'll keep it moving. I'll check with Upper Reality, but I think she'll be into that. And definitely keep building. We could all talk for hours about all sorts of stuff, I'm sure, like individually, group, whatever. So hit me up if anything. Definitely don't want this to be the last time I see y'all. And yeah, just thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and for joining us and contributing to the conversation. Because you know, now we've put these ideas into the world, and you know, people are going to watch it and they're going to flow with it as well. You know, and we'll see how it
Amen.
reverberates. So I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate
I'm gonna
you,
do the
man.
little outro
Yeah,
here. If you guys want to
appreciate
chill
you.
in the green room, you can. If not, if you got a dip, that's cool too. But I'm gonna get us out of here and say goodbye to the folks back home. Peace out to
Thank you, bro.
y'all. Thank you for tuning in.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Oh, people getting cut off. Hey, and thank y'all for tuning in. Another episode of Outside the Algorithm Live. Shout out Upper Reality, Defcee, Flip Jackson, Malik Elijah. Shout out to everyone tuned in. One more time, if you enjoyed this, please share it with at least one friend. It's a community effort for real. You see it happening in here in real time. It's the same thing out there. It's called Outside the Algorithm because the idea is we want to exist outside of that. We want to put you on to stuff outside of that. We want to plug you in a different way so you don't have to be scrolling to find out what's going on in the world and only find out what you're told through these machines. We do this the last Thursday of every single month, but we drop new music, interviews, etc. weekly. We have a lot going on, which you can learn about at www.lfod.life. We also just announced our first annual art grant. This is literally the best time to become a member. You can have an immediate impact on the life of an artist with your vote. You also get a 60-day free trial if you want to check it out, try before you buy. Not only do our members make this possible, they also enjoy access to full episodes of Outside the Algorithm, exclusive content, subscription to our monthly newsletter, and co-production credits, as well as a say in our journey. Last but not least, shout out the whole LFOD fam, all our new and existing members who continue to make events like this possible. We'll see y'all next time. LFOD Radio, Tuesday night, 10 p.m. if you want to tap in with us next week as well. Artists, hit us up, lfod.life/submissions. And with that, peace.